WearTesters.
Yo, what's good guys? It's Nightwing2303 from WearTesters.com, and today we have the performance review on the Nike KD9. So with that being said, let's go ahead, get right into it. I keep doing this, but I really can't help it. My brain cannot help but judge certain things by how they look prior to experiencing it firsthand. And just by looking at it, the KD9's traction doesn't look all that great. However, it performed the exact opposite of that, which is something that I was really excited about and pleasantly surprised. In fact, there were even times when the traction stuck too good. You know how when you run really fast and you go to stop just a little bit to kind of like pull back and then get up on your jumper? Usually when that happens, you stop and then your shoe slides just enough to where you can kind of regain your momentum and then shift it back. There was no sliding with these guys. They kind of just stuck and my momentum kept going, which was, again, it was almost like it was too good. It could have been the floor I was playing on, I'm not really sure, but I wasn't expecting that from these guys and I got it pretty much every time. Now, will every colorway perform at such a high level? That I honestly don't know. These guys here obviously feature solid rubber, and the rubber that they use, like the rubber compound, is very tacky, so it's like super grippy. So in terms of the colorways that feature translucent outsoles, those could have like a totally different experience on court, but from what I've experienced with the solid rubber traction, this stuff right here is pretty much A1. I did not take these outdoors, however, the rubber is super soft, so you know, the cushion is probably going to be great for outdoors, but the rubber might not be. As far as durability, I'm sure that it'll grip really well outside, but as far as this like lasting a long time, you know, I really don't know. Now the cushion, as you guys already know, is full length, it's max zoom, and this stuff is unbelievable. It's completely articulated in the forefoot, so you're getting complete flexibility and range of motion without losing any court feel, any coverage of the traction, and you're also not losing any of the cushion because that stuff goes all the way up front, which is pretty crazy. Like, this is really comfortable, dude. Like, I'm not even joking. Super smooth transition, ultimate impact protection, and it's ultra responsive on top of that. Now the best feature, in my opinion, of the cushion is not the fact that it gives you all of those things, but it's the fact that they made it mobile. Because we played in this type of cushion before and it was awesome then, but very immobile, so it was really stiff. But like I said, this stuff is super flexible. You can literally just move off the toe as if you're in a point guard shoe, but the cushion is made for somebody larger. It's awesome. Now, even though the cushion is awesome, it's not flawless. There were times when these two little points right here, if I would come down and land, whether it be off of a shot or off of a rebound, they would collapse and compress just a little too much. Luckily, you're super close to the ground. The midsole is not very high at all, so while it did compress, I was able to, you know, remobilize and restabilize myself. It's just something small to note. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, but it might be if you're not kind of like aware of it. So what I would do when you're landing, instead of kind of like landing and then rolling back into your foot, try to land at the tip and then roll into it kind of smoothly or more straight, I guess. But that is the only point in which there was some minor instability with it. Now the materials are real Flyknit. I mean, this stuff is awesome, dude. Like, it's super comfortable. It doesn't stretch much because underneath it is nylon, so you still have all the properties of Flyknit, but you're not losing any strength because you used Flyknit. Now, in my opinion, this is the best iteration of Flyknit that we've seen on a basketball shoe so far. Is it perfect? No, but it's the best that we've seen so far, so this is awesome in my opinion. So the rear section is textile mesh, foam, and fuse. It's really nothing fancy, but the rear section should provide enough structure and support for the foot, so this setup works perfectly even though it doesn't look quite as pretty as the forefoot area. In terms of the fit, this is kind of the tricky part. Much like with every other KD model, I highly recommend trying these on in store. Now, I personally went down half a size because I did not want to, you know, experience any heel slip in the back here, and by going down half a size, I did not receive anything like that. These contain my foot perfectly, literally a 1-to-1 fit. The downside though is that I really had to break in this top seam right here on the left shoe. It just totally pinched and dug into my foot. Really uncomfortable at first, but it was worth kind of like the pain that it had caused just to break in the shoe, because afterwards I received a glove-like fit, which is something that I do actually appreciate. Now, if you end up with a size that's slightly too big, you're gonna receive heel slip, and then these lacing areas are not gonna be able to cover you and lock you in the way that they were designed to. And I do think that that is a design flaw just from the way that it's shaped. So again, with a shoe like this where it's a one-piece kind of construction, even though the back is heavily padded right in here and sculpted, it's not anatomically accurate to everyone's foot, so it might fit some foot shapes much better than it does others. Now, for brace wearers, it's really important that you bring your brace with you in store to try on any shoe, especially these guys. This is one where you might be able to get away with going true to size because that brace will cover up any extra or leftover room. But by bringing your brace with you, putting it on, then trying the shoes on that you're interested in, that's the only real surefire way to tell if a shoe is meant for your brace or not. Now, in terms of support, the KD9 is riding on one key aspect of the shoe, and that is the overall fit. If you get the incorrect size, the fit's going to be sloppy, therefore your support's going to be sloppy. sturdy. Now the rest of the shoe is fairly standard. The rear section has the typical internal TPU heel counter, and that is actually inside the shoe. You can't see it. This little piece right here is just a little glued on rubber design piece. This is not the actual heel counter. And then we have that cushion system, which is flat, so you got a lot of stability right there at the base of the shoe. So overall, I think that Nike did a really great job with these guys. The KD8 to me was just kind of decent. It wasn't the greatest performer, but it definitely was solid. It got the job done. Meanwhile, the KD8 Elite was just horrible. They feel like they're an unfinished product of the KD8, and it was just really unnecessary to even put that on the market, at least in my opinion. Now luckily, that's not the case with the KD9. These guys feel like a nice complete shoe. You'll receive solid traction, fantastic cushion, great materials, and if you're able to get the size that fits you properly, you're gonna get some really adequate support as well. Now I know some think that getting this shoe right here for 150 bucks is a complete steal, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Getting all of this stuff right here for $150 is exactly what we should be getting for our money. I mean, 150 bucks isn't exactly chump change, and paying more than 150 bucks at this point for a sneaker, it basically turns the shoe from a performance tool into a novelty item. It's almost like having a collectible on your foot. It's not usually functional, but it looks pretty. However, I do feel that your money will be well spent with the KD9. If I personally like something enough on court to where it makes me want to grab another pair in another colorway just because I liked it that much, and that shows me that these guys right here were actually pretty good. So that pretty much takes care of it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all your support. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit. If you have any questions that were unanswered in the review, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you need any additional information, such as their scores or their weight, all you gotta do is head over to WearTesters.com. Direct link is in the description box. So thank you guys again, and until next time guys, have a good one.
While we're eating.
So today we're talking about my top 5 personal picks of cushion for bigger players. If you haven't checked out our previous video on this, that was actually for guards. First thing is a combination of 2 of my favorite things, nerd and sneaker. Bang bang, literally duck hunt. So awesome. As you guys know, Vans collaborated with Nintendo, and they created some of the dopest